I think we might just get started. Okay. So is everyone at this menu here? So what we're going to do, we're going to create a new file or new model. So we want to go to new in this option here. We're going to change the template file to metric multidiscipline. Metric because we want to work in millimeters, centimeters, meters, etc. We want to make sure project is selected, and then we're going to go OK. And this should open up a blank project for us. This should take a bit of time. So what we're going to do, we're going to hide some of these lines just to get started. So holding down the left mouse button, going from right to left, we can drag it out and create a selection box. We just want to hide these lines. We don't want to hide these elevation views. So once you've got them selected, you can right click on them, go hide in view and select elements. The hide in view should kind of be towards the top end. And then little drop down should be there. We want to click elements and we should hide them from our view to kind of clear things up a little bit. You can also alternatively just right click on an object or a line, hide in view, select elements, and hopefully our sheet's a bit cleared up from there as well. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to create some grid lines. Okay, grid lines are really good for referencing, just again where walls are going, outer dimensions of the building. So hopefully once you've kind of hidden these lines and kind of got a blank canvas, what we're going to do, we're going to go into the top architecture tab. I'm going to go to the right hand side and select grid. Okay, this should open up the grid menu, this green little option here. Okay, what we're going to do, we're just going to zoom in a bit. So you can zoom in using the scroll wheel on your mouse. Okay, we're just going to zoom in a bit because our building won't be that big. Now what we're going to do is to create the grid line first. We're going to start from the bottom up. So starting from this bottom end here, if you want to left click and then move the grid line upwards, it should snap to go straight. We just want to make our first one there. Left click to finish it, and we should have a grid line finished. Pretty simple. Okay, what we're going to do now, we're going to rename it. But before we rename it, we have to deactivate the tool. So we want to press escape twice on our keyboard to turn it off. And you should get the mouse icon back. So again, press escape twice on your keyboard to deactivate it. Escape is on the top left-hand side of the keyboard. Top left corner. Press escape twice, EESC if it doesn't say it. Press that twice, that should turn the tool off. What we want to do now is that we want to zoom up and double click on the number 1. Okay, now this should allow us to edit the text. What we're going to do, we're going to name this one A or capital A. Once you've got that, just press enter and this should change it to A. Going back to the grid reference, hopefully everyone's got the image or the grid lines as a reference. What we're going to do now is we want to select the grid line A, and then what we're going to do, we're going to create another grid line. But instead of going to the top toolbar, we can use a keyboard shortcut. So if you press GR on your keyboard, this is the hotkey for the grid line tool. Once you've got it selected, what we're going to do is we're going to move the mouse a bit close to the existing grid line. Once we do, it should, if we move it towards the bottom end, it should kind of give us like a dimension preview on there as well. What we're going to do, we just want to make sure that dimension preview is visible. What we can do then is that instead of clicking anything, we're just going to type a number on the keyboard. So if we look at that reference or the grid line reference, we're going to go from A to B. So if you've got this little preview active at the moment or visible, we're just simply going to type in 3000. And it should kind of just allow us to enter the number. We're going to press enter. Now if we move our mouse, this should be locked in 3000 mils from the left, or from the right, sorry. It should be locked in at the bottom. What we can do, we can move it upwards, and it should snap to the height of our existing grid line. Left click again to finish it. And so what we're going to do, we're going to complete the rest of the grid lines to the right hand side. So A to B should be 3000 mils apart. Again, we're going to, hopefully the grid line tool should still be active. Again, we're going to go back to the bottom, and then we're going to set the next dimension to 1500. Press enter, move that one up. We'll let it snap to the top. Next one over, we should be on the number D, or the letter D now. Again, 1500. Enter. Move that up. Again, next one is 2500. Enter. Move that one up. And then the last one for the vertical grid lines is 4000. So again, get that preview up. Enter. And we're going to go from there. Cool. These grid lines will probably be the most time consuming part, but once we've got these in, everything should kind of be free flowing after that. So once we've got our vertical grid lines in, we're going to get our horizontal grid lines in now. So what we're going to do, we're going to move the mouse to the right hand side of the grid lines, and we're going to start towards the top end, not in line, but probably just towards the bottom. We're going to create a new one, so we're going to left click, move it across. Again, it should kind of snap going straight. Left click to finish it. Now we're going to press escape twice on our keyboard, and we're going to change this to number 1. So if you again double click on the letter G, change it to the number 1. Enter. After that, again, we're going to get the grid line tool back on. So again, GR on the keyboard. And we're going to follow the same format as we did, but just going horizontally now. So again, try and get this preview up and visible. And the first dimension we're going to do is 3000. We'll type in 3000. This should lock it in place. It should also update the number as well. If it doesn't, you can just edit it manually. One underneath 1500. So 2 to 3, 1500. Bring that across. Next one is 3000. Cool. So hopefully we should have 6 grid lines going vertically and 4 grid lines going horizontally. Okay, I'll just go around and make sure we've got them all before we start. But after this, it should be pretty free flowing. We'll start modeling after this. Okay, I think we'll just start moving forward just to make up time. So what we're going to do, if you still have this tool active, you just want to press escape twice on the keyboard to deactivate it. What we're going to do now is we're going to start to build a floor now. So we want to make sure the architecture tab at the top is selected. And we're going to go into the floor tool over here. Now, before drawing anything, it'd just be really good if you guys could just watch. I'll just show you the different types of tools, drawing tools that we can use. So probably the 2 main ones I'll just show is the line tool. So line kind of allows us to draw in single lines. Another purpose of these grid lines is that it allows us to snap at a certain point. So if you have certain dimensions, that's what these grid lines are useful for. I've kind of drafted out a little floor plan. So that was kind of what these lines are for. So it should make sense soon. But again, that's the line tool. We have our rectangle tool. So again, corner from corner. So if I start from this corner, go out to this back corner, should create the outline for the floor tool, or for the floor. Another thing as well is that we can pick lines as well. This probably won't be too useful, but this is really, won't be too useful now, but it's quite useful if you have a certain outline already put in place. So what we're going to do, we're going to select the rectangle tool. Once you've got the rectangle tool selected, So again, make sure boundary line selected, select rectangle. We're going to go to A1. Okay, so A1, go to that corner, top left. We're going to click once. We're going to drag this tool out, go to F4, click, and we should have a floor outline already set. Okay, so yeah, going from A1 to F4. Once we've got that outline, to confirm the tool or to finish the floor, we click this big green tick, finish edit mode, and this should give us a floor. What we can do is that we can have a look at it in 3D view. So if we go into our project browser, go down to 3D views, expand that menu out, double click on 3D, we should be able to see our floor in 3D. Now to explain the controls for our 3D view, use the scroll wheel on the mouse to zoom in and out. Hold down the middle mouse button to drag and pan the view. And then to orbit the view, what you want to do is you want to hold down Shift, hold down the middle mouse button as well simultaneously. Keep those held down and move the mouse around. And it should allow us to orbit the view. So again, going over the basic controls, to zoom in and out, scroll wheel. To drag and pan the view, hold down the middle mouse button and then move the mouse. And then to orbit the view, hold down Shift, middle mouse button. Alternatively as well, we have our kind of view box at this top right-hand side of the main viewport. We can actually click on this box and kind of set the views as need be. So you can set up in like AXO views, elevation views, kind of like plan views in 3D as well. You can also just like hold down the left mouse button and just kind of move as is. And this will kind of like snap to the different views on the view box as well. So hopefully by this time we should all have a floor in place. What we're going to do now, we're going to go back to our level 1 floor plan. So if you go floor plans, L1, we're going to head back in. And now we're going to create some walls. So we want to make sure the architecture tab is selected and we're going to click on the wall tool. Cool. What we're going to do now is I'll quickly demonstrate how to draw them. Again, similar to the floor tool, we have different drawing tools in terms of the outline. So we can select the line tool and draw single walls. Again, we can click the rectangle tool and create an outline. So what we'll do, I bring this back up, we're going to click on the rectangle tool and we'll just create the outline first. But before we start drawing it, we're going to edit how high these walls are. So once you've got the rectangle tool selected, we're going to go to our properties tab or our properties panel. In this top constraint, we're going to click on this option and click the drop down menu. We're going to select level 2, just so these walls don't go too high, because by default they usually go up to like 6 meters for no reason at all. So then you have like 6-meter walls. So we want to make sure before we draw our walls that the top constraint has been set to level 2. Once that's been all done, again, we're going to go to the outline. So from A1, drag that out to F4. And we should have an outline for our outline for our little structure. Now we're going to switch to the line tool. And so this is probably where our grid lines will come in place. So what we're going to do, we're going to start from C1. Okay, click once, and we're going to drag this down to C2. Move this to A2, and hopefully now we should have an enclosed room. Don't worry, we'll be putting doors and windows in next. Next part we're going to go to now is we're going to go to B2, and we're going to drag this down to B4. We'll create a second room. Next room we're going to make is this one at the bottom, so we're going to go B3 now. We're going to move this to D3. And we're going to move this down to D4. Second to last room is that we're going to start from D3, the same corner. We're going to move this to E3. Then we're going to go down to E4. Last room, we're going to go from E1 down to E2 to C2. And so hopefully around this time we should all have around 5 rooms. Okay, so that's kind of like the purpose of the grid lines, just for referencing in that part. Also to just make it a bit more simple to understand. Okay, what we're going to do now is that up to you. You can have a look in the 3D view just to see what your walls look like. Cool. So hopefully we should all have some walls in. We'll head back to level 1 on our floor plan. And now we're going to create some doors. We're going to add in some doors as well. So going back to the architecture tab, we're going to click on the door tool. And now doors will automatically snap onto walls. You can change the direction once they've already been placed. So what we're going to do, we're going to add a door into every room. Okay, all you have to do is left click when you've got it in position. Okay, we'll make sure we've got a door going into every room. We'll add a door coming in as well. Add them wherever you want. You can add as many doors as you want. This is just an exercise. Inside, outside, doesn't matter. But what we can do now is that if you've got some doors in place, I'll quickly show you how to change or toggle the directions of them. So if you press escape twice to deactivate the tool, if you click on the door, you should be able to see these little arrows, these kind of like directional arrows. If you click on these will toggle the direction that they're placed in. So regardless of which way you start or you originally placed them, you can always toggle the position and the direction that they swing as well. You can also, if you have it selected, move them. So you can either hold down the left mouse button and drag it up and down. Again, these are locked to the walls, so you can't really move them in mid-air or move them in empty space. You can also use the direction keys, so move that up and down. You can also, as well, you should be able to see some dimensions in there as well. So if you have a certain dimension that the door is from the wall, you can put it in. So if it's maybe 250 mils, you can type in 250, and you can change that dimension there as well. Cool. If you want to be experimental and you want to try some different doors, in our properties tab, if we have the door tool active, we can also select some different types. So if we click on this should bring up a drop-down menu of different types. These will give you different dimensions. There's a lot of bigger doors. There's some double doors as well. So if you want to add a double door, make sure that's active. If you want to add a double door in there, by all means. Again, this should snap onto the wall. Again, you have to make sure the tool is active before adding the wall on. So just make sure the door tool is selected. But hopefully by now we should all have some doors in there. Cool. I think we're all sweet. Let me just change this. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to add some windows. So again, on the architecture tab, we're going to go to window. Similar to doors, windows will snap onto the walls as well. You can play around with the different presets or the different types. Again, it kind of gives you a display of the different dimensions of them as well. So what we'll do, just add some windows in there. It's not too serious, so you can just add whatever you want as well. If you want some interior windows, by all means, add those in. But yeah, we can select a few different windows that we can add into our rooms as well. So we'll just add a few into every room. Again, like the doors, we can change the directions that they swing. So there should be like a little directional arrow that we can select. So whether they swing inside, swing outside. But yeah, we'll just use this time to put some windows in. So again, make sure that tool is active. Okay. I think while everyone's picking windows, you can also do this in 3D view as well. So if you have your 3D view open, you can select window, and these should kind of snap onto the walls as well. So again, the controls for the 3D view, middle mouse button to pan, to drag the view, hold down shift and the middle mouse button, should be able to orbit. But yeah, if you want to kind of see it in 3D, click on the door. You can even add doors on as well. Doors will snap to the actual floor level or floor plan level. But for windows, you can kind of place them at different heights as well. Again, make sure they don't intersect with any existing walls. Otherwise, you'll get an error pop-up. Was there any questions before we move on? All right, I think we might move on to the next part now. So we're going to add a roof onto our house. So what we're going to do, we're going to go into level 2. We're going to double click into level 2. We should be able to see our level 1 floor plan underneath it as an underlay. What we're going to do now is, again, on the architecture tab, make sure that's selected. We're going to select roof, click on roof, and again, this will bring up some drawing tools where we can draw the outline of our roof as well. So again, that's going into architecture. It's going into architecture, roof, and this should kind of bring us our drawing tools for the outline of the roof. Once we've got this open, similar, we can draw the outline by hand if you just want to draw the outline tool. But I think just for the sake of the tutorial, we'll use the rectangle tool. Okay, we won't do it by certain dimensions, just make it easier. We'll just freestyle it. So if you want to click once and just drag it out, just make sure it covers the whole house. Click once to finish the outline. Okay, before we confirm it, I'll just explain how kind of like the roof slopes work and how the different angles work. So again, to deactivate the tool, press escape twice on your keyboard. Now you will see these kind of like slope icons. Okay, these, if we click on the outline, these kind of define the slopes of the roof. So right now, every outline has a given slope. So if I was, don't click the big tick next. I'll just show this as an example. If you have all 4 sides with a slope, this will give you a gabled roof. Okay, if I go back and edit the footprint, if I untick this option and turn it off, I should only have 2 sides for the given slope. If I tick that, this will give me a pitched roof. Okay, so that's what those kind of slope icons mean. It kind of defines the roof slope. So if you have 4 sides of the roof, it will add a slope to every edge on that end. So what we're going to do, okay. Yeah, so I'll go over it again. This was just a quick demo. So again, we'll make sure we're on our level 2 floor plan. To edit an existing roof, we can go edit footprint. And so if we select the line, the outline, there should be an option in our properties tab. And so you can untick that, tick that. Alternatively, we can just like delete it. But again, we want to select the outline. So I think up to you if you want to create a pitched roof or a gabled roof. I think what we might do is that we'll just create a pitched roof for the sake of this tutorial. So we're going to untick the left and right side edges. So if you click on the right side edge, untick define roof slope. On the left side edge, untick roof slope, apply. And now what we're going to do, we're going to edit the angles of the edges. So if we click on this bottom edge, we can, it's a bit quicker, we can just click on this number here. So if you click on this number, similar to the grid lines, we can add an angle or add a number. So we'll just put an 8 for now. Press enter. Again, we're going to click the top edge, click on this number, press 8. And now at 8 degrees, this should give us a pretty shallow roof as well. So we'll press enter. and then we'll press the green tick. We'll go back to our 3D view, and now we should have a pretty nice, slow, realistic pitched roof. Okay, but as you can see, we don't have any, or our walls aren't connecting to it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to select the walls and attach it to the roof. So there's kind of two ways. So if you guys just want to watch first, just to kind of see how we can attach it. So main thing is that we want to select the wall. So there's two main options. We can do a big selection using the selection box, then go to filter. These are pretty much everything that's been selected in that selection box. If I check none and just select the walls and apply, this will have all our walls selected. Okay. Alternatively, what we can also do to get all the walls selected is hover over hover over a wall, right click, and then we can go select all instances, and then we can go in entire projects, and this should have all our walls selected as well. So again, for this part, this is probably a bit harder. You just have to make sure you hover the mouse over the wall, make sure it's highlighted, right click, select all instances, an entire project, and this should kind of select all the walls. Okay, if you're having trouble with that, the easier way might be just to do a big selection. So I think what we'll do, we'll just do a big selection. So again, going from right to left, we'll do a big selection of our model. Filter, check none, and we'll just select walls. Okay. Now with all our walls selected, hopefully, so again, I'll go through it one more time. So make a big selection, and there should be a filter icon. Click that filter icon, and we're just going to go check none, and just have the wall selected only. Press OK, or press apply, then OK. Now we should have our wall selected. Now what we're going to do, there should be another option at the top called attach top base. We're going to click on this, and then we're going to click on the roof. Now this should have connected our walls to our roof, including the walls inside as well. Is anyone good? I'll go through one more time just for everyone who didn't see it. So again, what we want to do, big selection, filter, check none, select the walls, go apply. And once the walls are selected, again, filter, check none, select walls, make sure just the walls are selected, go apply, go OK. And then after they've been selected, attach top base. Once you have selected attach top base, you just want to click on the roof, and this should automatically bring the walls up to the roof. Okay. Is everyone all good so far? I think please raise your hand if you haven't got to that stage. Okay, we'll do one more thing before we leave, guys. I'll show you how to export drawings as well. So this might take a bit of time. So if we want to go back to level 1, always save your projects by one at the moment. If we go back to level 1, we're just going to hide our grid lines. So what I want you to do is to right click on a grid line, hide in view, but instead of elements, we're going to go category. This should hide all the grid lines. Okay, so this should kind of clear things up, and we should just have our floor plan. Okay, so I'll go over that again. So we're going to hide our grid lines, right click, hide in view, hide category, and that should hide all our grid lines. What we're going to do now is we're going to create a new sheet to export. So there's kind of two ways to get drawings out. You can print them as a PDF or export as a PDF in general. But I'll show you how to create a new sheet. So if you want to scroll down to Sheets in the project browser, if you right click on Sheets, there should be an option called New Sheet. Okay, so again, that's scrolling down to Sheets, right click, new sheet. If we click on new sheet, it should give us kind of like an option to either select or load. What we're going to do, we'll just prepare this for an A3 sheet. So we're going to go load. And now you'll probably come up to this kind of like empty or a few couple folders. What we're going to do is we're going to go into metric library, select metric library. Now we should have a whole bunch of different folders. Okay, we're going to scroll down to the bottom and we're going to select title blocks. Okay, this should have kind of all different sizes of pages of kind of like templates. So I'll go back. So metric library, scroll down to title blocks, double click title blocks, and we'll just select A3. Once you've selected the A3, we'll go open. And then hopefully the A3 should be selected, and then we'll just go OK. Okay, this should create us a new sheet. Up to you whether you want to keep this title block or edit it. To create a new title block, or to kind of edit this existing one, what we can do is that if we select it, just click once on it, there should be an edit family option at the top. We're going to click on that. Okay, and now here, this is kind of where we can start editing this actual Revit family. That's what the RFA file is. So what we can do, we'll just create a blank sheet. So we'll do a big selection, including the outline of the sheet, and we'll just press delete. This should keep the page outline. Okay, so big selection, press delete, and should just have an outline of the A3 paper. So once you've got an outline, what we're going to do is we're going to go load into projects. This should load it into our existing project, and you're going to come up with this window. We're going to go overwrite the existing version and its parameters, and this should overwrite the new sheet that we've made as well. We're going to rename it. So at the top here, you should see C102. So if we go scroll down and go to C102, right click, go rename, and we can name it as a file. So up to you, you can just write tutorial as the file name. Okay, once we've got that there, how it usually works is you can just pretty much drag and drop drawings onto a sheet. However, what I'll show you is that if we go to our level 1, we can see that it's currently has a blue box next to it. What that means is that it's already existing on a current sheet, or it's already on an existing sheet. So if I try and drag and drop this, it's going to give me this warning here. It's going to say this viewer is already placed on a sheet A101. So what I have to do is go to the sheet, select our view. So this is our current floor plan. Delete it. Now if I go back to the new sheet I just made, you can see that the box next to it should be white. And it should be deleted. So I'll go through that again. So if you go to sheet A101, select the floor plan that's currently in view, delete it. Once you've deleted it, we'll go back to our sheet that we just made, so C102. Just click that one to activate it. So hopefully double click on this, the new sheet that you just made, and you should be able to drag and drop our floor plan onto it as well. Left click to place it, and we should be able to kind of move it as well. To get rid of the title block at the bottom, we can go no title. And to kind of get rid of the outline, what we can do is that we can activate the view. So we can double click inside of it. And so once we're in here, we can actually edit the actual floor plan. Yeah. So double click inside the view. So double click inside of it. Once we've got it in, we're going to go, once we've got it activated, we're going to scroll down to crop region. We're going to untick this. This should get rid of the outline of the extents of our view. It should just kind of be under extents in the properties panel. So if you have the crop view, it's mostly because we have our scope box here. So the scope box is kind of what we can see. We can turn that to none. So scope box none, and then untick crop view as well. From here, what we can also do is we can hide these elements. So again, do a big selection box, right click, hide in view, and we're going to go category. This should get rid of all those lines, and we can get rid of these north arrows and these lines here as well. So we can just right click, hide in view, category. Hopefully by now we should all have a floor plan on an empty sheet. Now, so from here, what we can do is that we can print this sheet as well, or export this sheet. So if we go to File, and we go Print, this should give us an option to kind of print the sheet as a PDF. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to go into File Name, or Printer Name, and we're just going to go Microsoft Printer PDF. Click on that. Then what we're going to do now is we're going to go into Settings on the default setup. And this should bring us a menu onto here. Okay, I'll just go through it again for those who went there. So once we're on this view here, go to File, go to Print. It should bring us a little option here. In the printer name, just make sure that's Microsoft Printer PDF. Afterwards, we're going to go down to Settings. We're going to go Setup. Open that up. And now this is probably the main thing to focus on. So we want to make sure our paper size is the same as our sheet. So we want to make sure that's A3. Afterwards, we're going to go into Zoom and press Zoom. Now, once we press Zoom, this should change the paper placement. Once we press Zoom, we want to change this back to center. Once that's back to center, all we have to make sure is we've got the right orientation. So landscape, vector line, or vector processing. And then under appearance, we're going to go presentation. And then in terms of colors, we'll go black lines right now. So once we've got that, we can go OK. We'll go OK again. Now this should give us a chance to print it. So once you press OK twice, it should give us a chance to save our file name. So we'll just save this as a test. So once we've got that, press yes. And hopefully by now, if you go to your documents, you should have a PDF of that drawing as well. So I saved it under test. So if you, hopefully you should have a drawing like that. And it should be to scale as well. Cool. Cool. I'll go through one last thing, guys. So that's probably one way of exporting it. Another way is to simply just export the PDF. So if we go to File and then go to Export, we can create PDF. So again, that's going to File, Export, PDF. And similar to the print settings, we just want to make sure in the export range is the current window. So it's our current sheet that we have selected. Select the project name. Under sheet size, you can just keep as is. It's pretty much like use sheet size. Again, we want to make sure it's zoom on 100%, raster quality, presentation, black lines, vector processing, and you can go export as well. So this will give us another option to save. And if we go back to our documents, you should have another PDF as well. So those are two kind of options to export the drawing as well. Okay. I think we're going to finish up here because I think some of you have class. But hopefully you've kind of learned a bit to kind of get you guys through the start of Revit.